Would you introduce me to your friend?
What are you? You can't.
I know that look.
Why not?
It's Chapet.
That'll make this more fun.
Messiah, this is Jesus, the teacher.
The one who healed Shula! And me!
He knows, Barnaby.
Barnaby, he's not deaf, he's blind. Shabbat Shalom, Uzziah.
Shabbat Shalom.
Rabbi, please answer this for us. Who sinned? Uzziah or his parents that he was born blind?
You're a friend of his?
Yes, and we've wondered for years.
It's not that this man sinned, or his parents, but that the work of God might be displayed in him. Listen carefully. We must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. Night is coming when no one can work. And as long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world.
We cannot work at night?
We have limited time on Earth, Matthew. I have limited time. Let's not argue the sins of the past. We've got light to give.
Let's not argue the sins of the past. We have light to give, and it was not his parents or him that sinned, but instead an opportunity to be a representation of the work of God displayed through him. What? Oh my gosh. Welcome back to another episode of Through the Lens, All Things Chosen, Season 4, Episode 3. And yes, spoiler alert, if you know, Episode 3 is one of the heaviest episodes of all of The Chosen, is when Rama is no longer with us. She lays her body aside, but that is not what we are covering today. Instead, we are covering the moment that Jesus turns a blind man to be able to see. But that's not even our focus either. Our focus is even prior to that in the preconceived notions we have in regards to his blindness in the first place. How often do we question what we have done wrong in order to suffer? So strap yourself in. Today is All Things Chosen, and are we meant to suffer because of our actions, or is it something completely different? Okay, as you know, I watched this part over and over and over and over and over and over and over again because it stuck out to me. I felt this movement when I watched it, but immediately intellectually, I couldn't intellectualize with what it was I was feeling. I couldn't articulate it. So of course, per usual, I had to re-listen, and then all of a sudden it hit me. I was thinking about that moment when the guy says to Jesus, he says, "Who was the sinner? Why does this guy have to suffer?" And I was like, oh my gosh. That moment is so clear in my own life. And I've shared about it in the past of after my divorce, I remember getting down on my knees and cussing God at first. But ultimately, I asked him over and over and over again, what did I do so wrong to deserve such pain in my life? And I truly believed it. I believe that there must be something in this life, in a past life, in 1700 lives ago, that rectified, that supported me to go through such pain, that God was making me suffer. I had to go through this because of karma, right? We always talk about karma. Karma will get your ass in the end. Karma will get them in the end. And so it's that same kind of notion of in order to suffer, you must have done something wrong. But then we hear Jesus say, no one sinned. He didn't sin. His parents aren't the sinner. That's not why he's blind. But instead, he is blind so that the work of God may be displayed through him. So at first, that could be interpreted into so many different things of, again, God creating this so that you believe in him for the purpose of pain and suffering and all that. And what if, in fact, you laid out your own journey to help you remember the truth, help you remember the love of God, help you remember who you truly are. And you were like, or I was like, let's say me, I was like, okay, I know how this persona of Ashley operates, and she must experience this divorce in order to understand the forgiveness that is necessary to remember the love of God. Because it's that notion. Yes, in that moment, I was down on my knees, so wondering what the heck I had done. And then in the same aspect, cursing God, right? This was his fault that I had to suffer. But what if, in fact, it was mine the entire time? And if in that moment it could be the heaviest, weightiest, painfulest moment ever, and then today me looking back and being like, that was the best dang thing that happened to me. That changed the entire trajectory of my journey. It expanded my mind to reach areas that it did not even know existed. And now I can truly say today that that moment, without that moment, I would not be remembering the love of God like I do today. So it's not that God said, Ashley, you have to go through this awful divorce because in a lifetime ago, you were a sinner and now you must repent, right? You must do this in order to wipe the slate clean. No, instead, it was me as Spirit, Holy Spirit, being like, the persona of Ashley that is projected into this world right now, the divorce is a necessary step in her journey of remembrance. Her journey back to remembering she's already home the entire time. So how often do we find ourselves being like, I must suffer because I must have done something wrong? It's always this result of cause in effect. But the problem is we look at the cause being within the illusion already, and everything within the illusion that we see, David likes to say the cosmos and the planets and everything is already effect. And effect can't make effect. So in fact, the cause is something outside of the illusion, which in fact is Spirit creating a roadmap for persona, put your name into the persona, Ashley persona, to practice forgiveness, to be given opportunities to practice forgiveness. And when I say forgiveness, it's the realization that was just a projection of the mind of the shame and guilt out of the belief system that I'm not willing to look at because we think that we have disappointed God. Right? We think that we have done wrong to God and then he is angry at us. Many religions literally talk about the wrath of God. Literally in this moment, the guy's understanding that asked Jesus about the sinner is that literally the wrath of God has done this to this guy because in the past either him or his parents have sinned. But instead he is an opportunity for a forgiveness opportunity to see the light of God come through. And that's what my divorce was. It was an opportunity for love to come through in a moment of darkness, for a moment of light to be shined when I thought there was no way out. And because I remembered the light, it provided hope, it provided remembrance, it provided a stronger sense of faith as I've continued to move forward. Because literally in that moment of my divorce, it was just pure darkness, I thought. I thought there was no light that existed. And that's kind of where Jesus goes into next. We don't have time to focus on the past. And it's not even about not having time to focus on the past. He's using very illusionary words. It's healing doesn't occur in the past. God is not found in the past, my friend. God is not found in the future. God is in the here and now in the present. And that is where light exists. And that is what Jesus says is that is where the healing is, because it's actually remembrance of truth. right? You're not broken. I'm not broken. We are not broken. We do not technically need healing, but our personas believe that we do need healing. So if we're going to go with what our personas believe, once you get to the present moment and you truly are fully in the present, you remember the truth. And that's actually what happened to the blind guy. I know I said we weren't going to fully talk about his healing, but that is what occurred, is he had such faith in Jesus in this present moment that he was reminded through the help of Jesus pairing with him at the level of the mind that he was never blind in the first place. He had blind thoughts. He had thoughts of being blind. That is the power, my friend. And that is why it has nothing to do with the past. What you are experiencing now in this moment has nothing to do with the past or the future, and it has everything to do with right here, right now. And no one is doing this to you or me or we except ourselves. It is a journey we have laid out in order to remember our truth, to remember we never left God. And you know, as crummy as it feels in certain moments, you always have the power to shift your perspective. And I'm not dishonoring the sadness, the pain, the thoughts that you believe you are having. But what if we were stuck here forever? What if there was no roadmap? What if there was no opportunity to remember God? So I think of that every day. I'm like, thank you for this shit-ass journey I'm feeling right now. Because I know it is the map back home. And all I have to do is shift my perception. All I have to do is ask my big brother Jay, right? That's what he's sharing here. And they were lucky. They got to have him in the flesh, so it was more believable to some extent, but we still see the Pharisees and all these people are like, no, this is blasphemy, this is not real, even though that is what they had been asking for so long. But that's what Jesus shares in this moment, is like, as long as I am a part of the world, there will be light. That statement right there is so powerful. Because he does not need to appear in the flesh for that to be true. He only needs to be remembered and connected with and allowed through yourself, the Christ light, to come through. But the persona of Ashley has to get out of the way. And sometimes in order for the persona of Ashley to get out of the way or fill your name in, we need to experience something that provokes these heavy thoughts within, these heavy beliefs that something bad is occurring to us, because it gets us to this place of surrender. Because will you ever seek the love of God if you are constantly in a state of dopamine happiness here? No. And is that ever actually possible? No, because we live in a world of duality. And you will continue to experience the ups and downs until you start to see the opportunities in the present moment, until we start to see the opportunities in the present moment for healing without Jesus in the flesh, but with ourselves, and to see that it is not because we sinned, but instead it is because we have forgotten. We have forgotten our truth, and this is an opportunity for remembrance. So, my invitation is, when you are in a moment like that, realize God still loves you just as much, and that is the last thing God would want you to believe you are going through. So this is not some sort of retaliation, some sort of karmatic event that's occurring to you, friend, but instead a very strategically laid out interaction that you believe is occurring that is going to create certain thoughts, right? Pain thoughts, suffering thoughts, blindness thoughts, any of them, that you will have the opportunity to choose different, which then you get to see the display of God, of the truth that you are, which is you are one with God. And that's what we got to see. He was blind, and now he can see. And that represented to masses of projections the true love of God, the true power of God, which is that you cannot be hurt. You cannot be impacted but by your thoughts, and it was the faith of all that shifted the thoughts, which shifted what was projected in this gentleman right here. And with my divorce, it was the belief in the pain and suffering that I had in that moment. It was the pain and suffering thoughts I was having. It was the I'm alone in this thoughts that had me in that space. And then today my thoughts are like, oh my gosh, what a powerful moment in my life. How blessed I was to align that, to throw me into this darkness so that I could connect with these amazing mentors that held the light for me until I remembered my own light. That is all the things in this beautiful moment in episode 3. And I think it was so overshadowed by Rama's death. And I understand it was a huge part, but this part is massive. Because even when it goes into Rama's death later, we feel, what did Thomas do, right? Why must Rama die? What did she do? Why must all these people suffer? They're followers of Jesus. And it's the same thought process going through, that you believe that if something bad happens to you or anyone near you, someone must have done something bad in order to deserve it. But that's not the case. It's not the case, friend. You have every opportunity in every moment to shift your perspective. Honor the thoughts, but don't identify with them. Or if you catch yourself identified, unidentify and move forward. Allow them to come through and allow the light to dispel the pain and to see the display of God in yourself, in your brother, in all. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful episode. I will say this took multiple takes to get through, and I have no clue why, but this part, right, this is just so powerful, friends. I would love to dive deeper into it. Please post below, how did this just moment shift your perspective of any moments in your life that you are going through right now, and how you can see them differently, and how you can know you are wholly loved all the time and you are never meant to suffer. That is just your choice to have those suffering thoughts. I know that hurts, but I love you so much, and thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn on notifications. And there is so much to come. Patrick and I have upcoming movement, travels. I don't know what it looks like, but we will keep you updated on everything new. And as always, friend, remember you are worth it. Much love. Bye-bye.